What's good? It's your boy Logic. The nighttime session is in. Let's get into it. Um, this is gonna be a more honed in discussion. I might have touched on it with the Roe v. Wade thing, but as far as the moral decay and whatnot, and like who's to blame and this and that and the other. Now, like I said initially, I said um, technology, the internet being more specific, has facilitated a lot of immorality. Being having so much access to information and women and stuff like that, and the fact that women have found a way to monetize themselves to make a quick buck, right? Women put two and two together. They, like they said, prostitution is one of the oldest professions in the world, and there are dangers with prostitution. You're putting yourself out there. You're interacting with strange men. You don't know if you're gonna come back home that night, right? So you want to do is you want to take a half measure. Now the half measure normally was maybe like stripping or something, but you still had to be face to face with men who could still lash out, act out, stalk you, wait outside the bar or whatever like that, or outside the strip club or whatever, right? There's still some dangers. Some girls aren't, um, you know, um, some girls ain't good on poles. Maybe some girls are more self-conscious when there's actually men in the room. So the new half measure is like OnlyFans, where I could do it in the privacy of my own home in a place that's comfortable. I got distance between crazy men. Um, you can kind of do it on the low. People might not really know it's you. If you know how to do it, you can probably cut your face out, wear an outfit, or whatever the case may be. But just take into account of OnlyFans, right? OnlyFans wasn't about sex work. It was more about creators creating content. In the age of where YouTube and Patreon and stuff exists, it was like, hey man, give back to your creators with some exclusive content. Well, women put two and two together, and whether it's whatever situation they're in, the economy, whatever the case may be, they put two and two together and said, hey, I could get on OnlyFans, do that half measure where I'm not necessarily putting my body at risk, and still make easy money. That's not even saying that they still ain't going out there and doing their thing in the streets. But more or less, I would say girls are probably leaning more towards like sugar baby, where they might have maybe like 3 or 4 guys they fuck with on a regular basis, maybe some guys that they vetted out that they've known over time, where they can get consistent money from people they kind of trust, and without necessarily putting themselves in harm's way, right? Now, like I said, this is girls came to this conclusion. This is putting two and two together, so we can't be blaming, like, we can't be talking like girls are stupid, like, oh, they don't know any better, this and that and the other, right? The thing is, they just want to escape accountability, right? The OnlyFans of the past was porn stars, and porn stars had to put themselves out there, videotape themselves on camera, get distributed across the world, and they would be known as a porn star. Now, as a guy, yeah, you might smash, but you really couldn't, deep down, you didn't respect it, you couldn't trust it. I mean, they were pretty much, a walking meat hole at that point, right? And a lot of porn stars, they would have to deal with that. That would be one of the mental hurdles that a woman would have to get over, right? And I mean, I'm sure that some porn stars couldn't handle it, right? But it was a decision that they made. You know what I'm saying? Whether they got kicked out at an early age, financial issues, maybe they were abused, on drugs, whatever the case may be. Or just the fact that they just made a conscious decision and said, I like sex. Everybody says I'm attractive. I'm gonna do porn, right? And see, here's the funny thing, because women would fight for these porn stars and try to make up excuses like she was young, she was manipulated, she was pushed in the sex work, and she didn't know what she was doing or whatever. And I'm like, what? Like, so no accountability, like no responsibility. Oh, okay. But then when they embrace the sex work, it's, oh, sex work's real work, you shouldn't be shaming. I'm like, oh, okay, so on both sides of the spectrum, y'all can't be criticized, right? When y'all accept it full-heartedly, making conscious decisions, it's don't shame me for doing sex work. But if I'm in a fucked up situation because I got into the sex work, it was because I didn't know any better and I was on drugs and I was doing all that. I'm like, okay, so y'all are basically walking children in, where we can't sprinkle any responsibility anywhere in there. And I always say this: if that's the way y'all want to treat yourselves, then you got to understand that y'all cannot be put in any type of leadership role, because y'all have literally put yourselves in a spot where y'all can't be held responsible. And as a leader, one of the main things is being accountable and being responsible. You know what I'm saying? You have to have these traits to move on in the world, And it's funny because they always talk about how men, patriarchy, they're out there, they're doing this, they're doing that. And I always say like this: look, as much power as you think men have, women have probably equal or more power than men, whether they want to realize it or not. See, here's the funny thing. This is why it's so fucked up. See, if we were warriors, if men were a warrior and a woman was another kind of warrior, we would be more like knights, and women would be more like ninjas. We got to run out there on the battlefield, shield and sword in hand, and expose ourselves. Where a ninja can sit in the shadows and kind of be more covert about their actions. When shit gets done, you can hide your hand and not really be responsible for what you do. But as a knight, when you're cutting and cleaving and slaying, you're doing that out. No, people are seeing you cutting and slaying, and people are going to come after you for revenge. People are going to hold you accountable for the kills that you make. That is the difference between men and women. See, a woman, let's talk about it in the world. A woman could talk a man into doing some shit that she couldn't do or didn't want to do, and then he would suffer the consequences for it. If she knew how to sweet talk a man in the right way, motivate him and point him in the right direction, he would be left holding the bag when everything's said and done. And we've seen this out in the world where girls have gotten men killed because they thought they were going to get sex, or she lied to them and said this happened, and then men ran out there trying to be a hero and got killed. This is another way that a woman can manipulate the world from behind the scenes. It's a great power. It does take some form of it doesn't even take responsibility. You just hope that the person has a conscience, right? Because when you're not held accountable for your actions, you start to get evil thoughts. Hey, I can do this and then hide my hand. I can whatever. And I said this: women are the ninjas of the world. I would want to be a ninja, to be 100. I mean, to be able to. But then I think to myself, then maybe it would mold me into a kind of like a shitty person or something like that. But I don't know. But like I said, but what happens is women look out into the world, see men out there doing whatever, and what ends up happening is women try to emulate men, and they stop trying to be ninja. They try to be a ninja and then come out into the light. I said, no, if you come out into the light, you're going to be seen and you're going to be held accountable and responsible for a lot of the shit you do. And that's what you've seen. Like with OnlyFans, now they talking about sex work's real work. What you just did is you took a shadow profession and brought it out into the light, and now you're getting judged for it. And now you don't like it. But I'm like, but that's how men have always been. If men came out and did anything, they have to get criticized and judged for it every fucking day. And you have to form a backbone to take it. But women have been ninjas. They've never had to develop a backbone. So now they're trying to force themselves out in the open to be these working girls, to do really whatever the fuck they want. And I always said this: if you have the mindset of doing whatever the fuck you want, you're gonna cause the downfall of society. Yes, freedom is great, but reckless freedom is chaos. You can't just, society has to have some type of moral compass, boundary, some type of ethical thing where the mass populace, whatever, shames certain behaviors to keep people on track. But we live in a world where we want to do whatever the fuck we want, to the point where, like you said, sex works will work. You can't shame them, this, that, and the other. I said women are the backbones of families, right? They're the birthers, they're the nurturers. But they're being tainted by the fact that there's no discipline required to be a woman anymore. They can act out, they can be loud, they can be overweight, they can do sex work, and then you still got to accept them as a wife. You know, the same, like a guy could be a drug dealer, be a killer, be a whatever, and then we wouldn't tell you to accept him as a husband. Ultimately, what girls do is they usually hold guys to a high standard. Hey, you got to make this amount of money, you got to be this, you got to be that, whatever, right? Because they know that a man that does whatever the fuck he wants and is doing all this crazy shit, he's going to bring danger to your doorstep. And it's respectable. We understand. I'm like, I have no fault with that. But then I have to apply that to you. If you're out here doing all this crazy fuck shit and doing and exposing your body and all this other stuff, well, obviously you're bringing danger to my doorstep. You're bringing immorality to my doorstep. If we have kids, they're going to start looking at the shit that you do and think it's okay. You know what I'm saying? But the world's gone backwards. Like I said, the ninjas want to come out into the light, but they still want to throw rocks and hide their hand. I'm like, no, once you come out here and expose yourself, that's it. You can't go back. And what's happened is we've been able to see female nature out in the light, out on the internet, where information is spreading fast as fuck, and it's breaking down society because from a moral standpoint, they never had like they never had their community's best interest at heart. Everybody's selfish. No one really wants to build anything. It's all about me, make money fast. And then don't shame me for how I make my money. Just let me do whatever the fuck I want. And over time, I'll come back, and don't bring up my past and accept me for who I am. That's the world today. That is a fall of morality. You can say that, oh, it's because men and women ain't really communicating. I said, the reason why they got into the position and where they can't communicate is from, well, the facilitation of technology allowing them to enact on their moral desires, their immoral desires, their carnal desires, their sexual desires. They're like the things, the human nature that needs to have some form of discretion and responsibility. We've unleashed that on the world untamed. But like you said, I'm just talking stupid. I don't know. But all right, man, it's your boy Logic. Nightcap. I'll holler at y'all later. Peace.